Hi and hello everyone. This is your presenter and facilitator for this video series on iterators in data analysis expression DAX. Once again, just to remind you, this is very powerful, especially for Microsoft Power Pivot, Power BI Desktop, SQL Server Analysis Service. In this series of tutorials, we're going to discuss what are iterators, iterators example, evaluation context when expression gets evaluated, and evaluation context examples. Now, evaluation context is already part of iterators, but we're going to discuss it separately so you have a better understanding of how this is working within iterators or any other functions. So let's begin. Now, what are iterators? That's kind of similar to calculated columns, but calculated columns takes up a lot of RAM. But with iterators, we can do things comparatively far more easier without using the calculated columns. So it takes considerably less RAM, and it does not hold the value because we are using it as a major, not as a calculated column. Whenever we are looking to evaluate multiple columns or do an expression for multiple columns, we can use iterator because it does it raw by raw, and it is kind of a similar concept like for loop in programming language or a cursor in SQL. It allows to use multiple columns in aggregation, so that's very simple. But what it does it raw by raw, and gives an answer that is major, not a calculated column. What makes the iterator unique is it does it raw by raw, as I already told you. It is not it does not produce a very better performance in terms of time it takes first time when it's doing the calculation, but it is better than calculated column because calculated column keeps the RAM value intact, whereas in this case iterator, it does not. It is used as a major, so it once it does the calculation, you can uh, you do not view that within your table. It just comes up directly as a major. So in data model or in table view, you won't be able to see this major. And another thing is it allows for multiple column expression, so you can evaluate multiple column expression within iterators. We have also talked about DAX engine is optimized for column level calculation. However, there are so many scenarios in where this does not hold very good because we want the calculations to be on raw level as well. And this is where, other than calculated columns, iterators become very handy. And therefore, I've kept it as a separate section within this course. So we'll be discussing this with a demo example. And first of all, we'll be discussing its syntax. Okay, iterators require actually two parameters, two important parameters. One is that it takes a table as a parameter, the table that we're going to use to evaluate expression, and that expression evaluation is going to be raw by raw. Therefore, it is an iterator because for that selected table, it is going to do the calculation. It is going to evaluate the calculations raw by raw, and then going to produce a result that we required it from that table raw by raw calculation. And a lot of common thing about iterator is that it ends in an X, like SUMX, concatenate X, MAXX, average X. So these are all iterators. Filter is also an iterator that we we discussed that in earlier video, how we selected the table and then the evaluation of filter based on that raw, and I need to run the table. So filter is also a iterator, but this does not end with X. However, in most of the scenarios, you will find that iterators do end with X, but not all. So you definitely would say that, yeah, this third is not a parameter actually. It's kind of identifying feature about iterator, and this also does not hold true in all the cases. Now let's discuss this. Average of sales amount. Here we are using an iterator average X, where sales is the sales table. We are taking it the sales table, and this is the evaluation expression. So the engine is going to evaluate this expression raw by raw for this selected table, and once it do this, it is going to average the sales amount. And this becomes handy when we are not do not want to use data model, as it will take up a lot more RAM, because if we use this as a calculated column within our data model, using that much RAM might not be feasible. So we can use an iterator as a major to optimize RAM performance. And this is one of the biggest scenarios here. In our next continuing video about iterators, we'll be discussing demo and the other things that we discussed initially. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. Thank you.